It's 4 o'clock. The top stories live on 7 News. A shock admission from Telstra at a parliamentary grilling over its latest outage. The Laos ambassador called in for a diplomatic dressing down over Australian deaths. A son charged with the shocking murder of his father in Glenmore Park. And fears of bird flu as the body of a baby whale washes ashore on a Sydney beach.
Live from Sydney, this is 7 News with Hugh Whitfeld.
Good afternoon. Telstra's costly network outage could have been prevented if software upgrades weren't ignored or if a $30,000 hardware upgrade was completed. That's some of the evidence from a Senate inquiry in Canberra this afternoon. Josh Martin has the latest from Parliament House.
Good afternoon. The Telstra meltdown stopped the nation last Wednesday and Thursday, from 000 calls to train commuters. This afternoon, we're finally getting answers as to how it happened. Telstra executives trembling during a lengthy Senate grilling, the CEO apologising again.
Last week, Telstra let Australians down. We let our customers down. We let the community down.
Also revealing it was this giant exchange on Exhibition Street in Melbourne where the problem began. Maintenance on a timing server was completed, but when it came back online, a GPS card didn't operate as expected.
Because of an underlying software configuration, the server restarted with the wrong date.
The incorrect date spread through the Telstra network nationwide, affecting 45% of voice calls and data services at the peak of the outage.
Millions of people have gone without mobile coverage and mass chaos across the country.
The Senate hearing it could have all been prevented if software update warnings from 2020, 2022 and January this year weren't ignored.
How does it go 6 years without fixing?
And if Telstra had replaced 15-year-old hardware.
How much are these servers worth?
Jared, one of these servers?
It's about $30,000.
About $30,000.
A newer piece of hardware, operating in the same design that we intended to, the issue wouldn't have happened.
Telstra says it's paid out $100,000 to just 8,000 customers, but does expect to spend a whole lot more on compensation.
Josh Martin reporting. Former New South Wales MP Darryl Maguire has been found guilty over a fake visa racket. A jury finding the former boyfriend of Premier Gladys Berejiklian guilty of a charge of conspiracy. The court heard he arranged sham jobs for Chinese nationals seeking permanent residency. Maguire had denied any wrongdoing, insisting he believed the visa applications were legitimate and that he had been kept in the dark about any fraud. We'll have more on this story later in the bulletin. A man accused of setting his father on fire in Glenmore Park has now been charged with murder. Today he faced court where lawyers asked that he be referred to under a different last name to the one he shares with his father. Rex Quayle has the details.
36-year-old Etika Solis faced court today here in Penrith, charged with murder and accused of setting his own father, Ricardo, alight in his driveway. Emergency services were called at 12:50am yesterday and found the body of a man on Wagon Crescent in Glenmore Park. CCTV from the scene shows what appears to be Solis walking up to the house before smoke billowed from his father's driveway. Etika was then arrested in his car in nearby Warrington at 6:45.
We're shocked. We've been here for 10 years and nothing like this happens around here.
Facing court today, his lawyer requested his client not be referred to by his legal last name, Solis, instead asking to be known as Etika Ardi. His lawyer also asked for him to be taken to a mental health facility. The judge denied that request.
At the moment, mental health differentiates from one to another. From my understanding, he's suffering a mental health issue.
His 64-year-old father, Ricardo, lived by himself in Glenmore Park. This is a horrific incident that's shocked that suburb.
The matters are before the court. They're serious in nature. It's a tragic incident. No family deserves to go through this.
7 News understands the accused has a history of domestic violence. Join us in the news at 6 for a full breakdown of this case.
Laos's ambassador to Australia has been hauled before the Department of Foreign Affairs as the families of Bianca Jones and Holly Bowles are dealt another devastating blow in their fight for justice. Those responsible for the methanol poisonings are only expected to be given light sentences. Jasmine Turlings has today's developments.
This is a devastating blow for the heartbroken families of Bianca Jones and Holly Morton Bowles, who have been fighting for justice for nearly 2 years. In November 2024, the Melbourne teenagers were on a trip of a lifetime when they unknowingly consumed fatal cocktails laced with methanol. They were among 6 foreign nationals who ultimately died after visiting a backpacker hotspot in Laos. But now we understand those allegedly responsible won't face criminal prosecution. Instead, they're expected to be charged with lesser offences, which carry a maximum penalty of a year in jail and a collective fine of $1,600 Australian dollars. A heartbreaking development for Bianca and Holly's parents.
There is people out there who are perpetrators of this, who caused our beautiful girls to pass away and the others. So someone needs to pay a reasonable penalty for killing our daughters.
It destroys you. This has destroyed us. But you hear this and it just breaks you. Really does.
The Australian government says it's deeply frustrated and bitterly disappointed that authorities in Laos are not pursuing the most serious charges. In response, it's hauled in Laos' ambassador to Australia for a diplomatic dressing down at the Department for Foreign Affairs and Trade in Canberra, but he waved off our questions this morning.
What do you have to say to the 2 Australian victims' families?
We expect if there's a misadventure and a tragedy like this, that someone will be held accountable. And we expect from the Lao authorities better than this.
I think it's perfectly fair and reasonable for the family of Holly and Bianca to expect that their government would do everything that it possibly can to deliver that justice for them.
Now, the federal government says it's dispatched the special envoy to Laos today.
Police are closing in on those behind this week's gangland murder at Carlingford, where a man was shot dead in the front seat of his car. They raided a home at Wentworthville overnight and have seized what they believe is the car used by the assassin. Sam Payne has more.
Good afternoon. Well, police believe they have found the getaway car used in 35-year-old Jack Chueng's murder in the backyard of a South Wenthworthville property. Specialist police surrounded it just after 6 p.m. last night. There was a helicopter overhead and a Bearcat, which is a heavily armoured vehicle, right out front. They used a speakerphone and ordered everyone to come outside. 3 people were taken into custody. 1 was charged, 66-year-old Daniel Bruce Oglesby. Now, police don't believe that he actually knew that the Porsche had been used in the shooting. Instead, detectives suspect he was simply allowing someone to stash the car at the house for a period of time. It's unclear how he even knew who that individual was. He was charged with the possession of a stolen item and being in possession of prohibited drugs, facing Parramatta local court today, where he was granted bail as that manhunt continues for the killers of Jack Chueng, sensationally posted online by a group claiming to be the Albanian mafia. I'll have more details on this in the news at 6.
Sam Payne reporting. Disgraced former Olympic cyclist Rowan Dennis is facing jail for driving while disqualified. The 36-year-old turned up to court 4 hours ahead of his scheduled hearing, then let his lawyer plead guilty on his behalf.
What was your reason for driving while disqualified?
Are you concerned about jail time?
Did you have a good reason?
Why were you driving? You knew you were
What were you thinking?
Dennis was banned from driving for 5 years over the crash that killed his fellow Olympian wife Melissa Hoskins in December 2023. In a flagrant disregard of that order, the father of 2 was last month caught behind the wheel of his Volkswagen with his young children in the back. He's also breached the good behaviour bond he received over the fatal crash. It means Dennis could face up to 12 months in jail. He's engaged a top criminal barrister to represent him when the 2 breaches are dealt with in the District Court in September. A baby whale washed up on a Sydney beach will be tested for bird flu. The body of the juvenile humpback washed ashore on Green Hills Beach in Cronulla early this morning. Despite a rescue team rushing to the beach, the whale was already dead. Experts say there are many reasons why a baby whale could die, and the continuing impact of bird flu in Antarctica means the mammal will be tested for H5N1. New Zealand has been rattled by a 5.9 magnitude earthquake overnight. The tremor struck around 40 kilometres north of Tiano in the South Island, and there were reports of strong aftershocks. A tsunami alert was issued and later cancelled. No one was injured.